Hello everyone, and welcome back to Project Moon Audiobooks. Today's episode is part 6 of the Odyssey. This will cover books 13, 14, and 15. I hope you enjoy. Book 13, Two Tricksters. After he finished, all were silent, spellbound, sitting inside the shadowy hall. At last, Alcinous said, "Now, Odysseus, since you have been my guest, beneath my roof, you need not wander any more. You have endured enough. You will get home again. And all you regulars, my honored friends who always drink red wine here in my house and listen to my singer, heed my words. Our guest has clothes packed up inside a trunk, and other gifts that we have given him. Each of us now should add a mighty tripod and cauldron. I will make the people pay a levy, so that none of us will suffer from unrewarded generosity." The king's words pleased them all. They went back home to rest. Then dawn was born again. Her fingers bloomed, and they hurried back towards the ship, bringing heroic gifts of bronze. The king embarked and stowed them underneath the beams, to leave room for the crew when they were rowing. Then all the men went back with him to eat. The holy king killed sacrificial meat, a cow to Zeus of dark clouds, son of Cronus, who rules the world. They burned the thighs and feasted in happiness. The well-respected singer Demodocus made music in their midst. But all the while Odysseus kept turning his head towards the shining sun, impatient for it to set. He longed to leave, as when a man is desperate for dinner time after he spends the whole day with his oxen dragging the jointed plow across the field and welcomes sunset, when he can go home to eat. His legs are aching on the way. Just so, Odysseus was glad of sunset. At once he told the seafaring Phaeacians, especially Alcinous, "Great king, and all of you, please send me safely home with offerings, and thank you. I am grateful to you for giving me my heart's desire, a passage home with gifts. I hope the gods maintain my luck. When I am home, I pray to find my wife still faultless, and my loved ones safe. And may you Phaeacians live to bring joy to your wives and children, every blessing. I pray there is no trouble for your people." They praised his words and said that they must help their guest go home, since he had spoken well. Alcinous addressed his right-hand man. "Pontonous, now mix a bowl of wine. Serve drinks to everybody in the hall, so we may pray to Zeus and help our guest back to his homeland." So the steward mixed a cheering bowl of wine and served them all in turn. Still in their seats, they poured libations to all the blessed gods that live in heaven. Godlike Odysseus stood up and put a double-handled cup into the hands of Arete. His words flew out to her. "Bless you forever, queen, until old age and death arrive for you, as for us all. I will leave now. Be happy in your home and children, and your people and your king." With that, the noble hero crossed the threshold. Alcinous sent out his steward with him to guide him to the swift ship on the shore. Arete sent some slave girls, too. One brought a freshly laundered cloak and tunic, one carried the well-carved chest, the third brought bread and red wine. When they reached the ship, the guides took all the food and drink and packed it neatly inside the hold. They spread a sheet and blanket out on the stern deck of the hollow ship so he could sleep there soundly. Climbing on, he lay there quietly. The rowers sat down on the benches calmly, and then loosed the cable from the mooring stone. They pulled, leaning back hard. The oar blades splashed the water. A sound, sweet sleep fell on his eyes, like death. He did not stir. As 4 fine stallions rush at the whip and race their chariot across the track, heads high, an easy canter. So was the ship's prow raised. The seething waves of sounding purple sea rushed round the stern as she sped straight ahead. The swiftest bird, a hawk, could never overtake. She sailed so fast and cleaved the waves. She bore a man whose mind was like the gods, who had endured many heartbreaking losses and the pain of war and shipwreck. Now he slept in peace, and he remembered nothing of his pain. But when the brightest star that carries news about the coming dawn rose up the sky, the sea-borne ship neared land. There was a harbor of Phorcys, ancient sea god, in the district of Ithaca. On either side of it there are sheer cliffs that jut across the bay. They shelter it and keep big waves outside when storm winds blow. The ships remain in harbor without a tether once they cross its bounds. At the bay's head there grows a long-leafed olive, and near it is a beautiful dark cave, a holy place of sea nymphs, nereids. Inside are bowls and amphorae of stone, and buzzing bees bring honey. There are looms, also of stone. The nymphs weave purple cloth, sea purple. It is marvelous to see. Water is always flowing through. There are 2 entrances. The north one is for humans, the south is sacred. People cannot enter that way. It is the path of the immortals. They rowed inside the bay. They knew the place of old. Their arms were pulling at top speed. The ship was traveling so fast that when she reached dry land, she beached for half her length. They disembarked and lifted from the ship Odysseus, wrapped up in sheets and blankets. They set him on the sand, still fast asleep. They unpacked all the presents he was given by the Phaeacian lords to take back home, thanks to Athena's care. They heaped the things beside the olive tree, so no one passing would do them any damage while their owner was sleeping. Then they rowed away, back home. Poseidon, lord of earthquakes, still remembered his hatred of Odysseus. He asked Zeus what he meant to do. "O Father Zeus, I will lose all my standing with the gods, since mortals fail to honor me, though these Phaeacians are my very own descendants. I always said Odysseus would reach home in the end. I did not take away that privilege from him, no, not at all, since you had promised it with your own nod. Their swift ship carried him across the ocean, and they have set him down in Ithaca with a magnificent array of gifts. Bronze, heaps of gold, and fine-spun clothes, far more spoils than he ever would have won at Troy if he had got out safely." Storm god Zeus exclaimed, "Earthshaker, how absurd! The gods do not dishonor you. It would be hard to disrespect an elder so high-ranking. If willful humans fail to show respect, then punish them. You always have that power. Do as you wish." Poseidon answered, "Lord of dark clouds, I have always wanted to. I held back out of deference to you. But now, when that fine ship of those Phaeacians comes back from helping him across, I want to smash it into the sea, and overwhelm their city with a mountain to prevent them from ever guiding travelers again." The Cloud Lord Zeus said, "Brother, I suggest that while the people in the city watch, you turn the ship arriving into stone, still looking like a ship. They will all be shocked. Then you can surround their town with a huge mountain." Hearing this, Poseidon went to Phaeacian Scheria and waited. As the ship sped towards the shore, the god moved near it, turned it all to stone, and slapped his palm to make it rooted to the seabed. He vanished, and the people of Phaeacia, known for their oars and famous ships, began to ask each other, "What? Who fixed that ship firm in the sea as she was rushing home? We saw it all." They could not understand it. Alcinous addressed the crowd and spoke. "So it is true. My father long ago said that Poseidon hates us for our habit of helping travelers get home again. We got away with it, but he foretold that one day great Poseidon would destroy a ship on her return from such a journey. The god would hide our city with a mountain. And now the old man's words are coming true. So all of you must listen to me now. Stop helping visitors to travel onward. We have to sacrifice 12 bulls, hand-picked for Lord Poseidon, so he may show mercy, and not enfold our city in a mountain." At this, they were afraid, and they prepared the bulls, and all the leaders of Phaeacia prayed to Poseidon, standing round the altar. Meanwhile, Odysseus, who had been sleeping in his own native land of Ithaca, woke up, but did not recognize the place from which he had been absent for so long. Pallas Athena cast a mist upon it, so she could tell him how things stood, and make him unrecognizable to his own wife and family and neighbors, till he paid the suitors back for how they misbehaved. The friendly harbors and the winding paths and leafy trees were all quite unfamiliar to their own king. He leapt up to his feet, and looking at his native land, he groaned and smacked his thighs and sobbed. "Where am I now? Are those who live here violent and cruel, or are they kind to strangers, folks who fear the gods? Where can I carry all my treasure, and where can I go wandering? If only I had remained there in Phaeacia, till I went on to some other mighty king who might have been my friend and helped me home. Where can I leave my things? Not here, for sure. They will be stolen. Those Phaeacian lords were not so trustworthy. They promised me that they would bring me home to Ithaca. They broke their word and brought me somewhere else. May Zeus, who helps the needy, make them pay. Zeus watches everyone and punishes the sinner. Let me count my treasure now. They may have stolen some when they sailed off." He counted all the tripods, cauldrons, gold, and cloth, but none was missing. Then he paced beside the loud, resounding sea, hunched up with homesickness and sobbing in his grief. Athena came towards him. She looked like a shepherd, young and soft-skinned as a prince, wearing a folded mantle of fine cloth across her shoulders. On her tender feet were sandals, and she held a javelin. Odysseus was overjoyed to see her. He cried, "Oh, friend, you are the very first person that I have met here. Greetings, please be kind, protect my treasure and myself. I pray to you and supplicate, as if you were a god. I touch your knees. Please help me, and tell me, please, what is this place? An island? Or is it a peninsula that slopes towards the sea from fertile mainland fields? Who lives here?" And with twinkling eyes the goddess said, "Stranger, you must be a foreigner from distant parts, or foolish, since you ask about this famous country. Many people know it, from those who live towards the east under the rising sun, to those out west in lands of gloomy dusk. This is rough country, not fit for grazing horses, and not spacious, but not infertile. Corn and wine abound here. The land is always wet with rain and dew. There are fine water holes, and it is good for raising goats and cattle, and the trees are varied. Foreigner, I think the name of Ithaca is even known in Troy, a land they say is far away from Greece." Odysseus, who had endured so much, so long, was overjoyed to hear from her that he was in his own dear native land. His words took wings and flew, but he did not tell her the truth. He bit his story back. His mind was always full of clever schemes. "Yes, I have heard of Ithaca, although I come from distant Crete. Now I am here with all this wealth. I left an equal share of riches for my children back at home. I am an exile. On the fields of Crete I killed Orsilochus, the speedy sprinter, the son of Idomeneus, the king. I had refused to serve or help his father at Troy. I led my own men. So the son wanted to steal the Trojan spoils for which I worked so hard, in war and long sea journeys. I hid beside the road with one companion, and as he came back from the countryside, I ambushed him and hit him with my spear. The sky was dark that night, and no one saw me kill him with my sharp sword of bronze. And after I murdered him, I quickly rode away to visit the Phoenicians, and I gave them a share of loot, which made them very glad. I told them they should transport me to Pylos, or famous Elis, ruled by the Epeans. But storm winds drove them off, away from there against their will. They did not mean to trick me. So swept off course, we came here in the night. We rode at top speed into harbor, hungry, but none of us took any thought of dinner. We disembarked and all lay down right here. Sweet sleep enfolded me. I was exhausted. They took my treasure from the ship and set it beside me as I slept upon the sand, and then they sailed away to well-built Sidon, and I was left here grieving." At his words, Athena smiled into his eyes. She took his hand and changed her body to a woman's, beautiful, tall, and skilled in all the arts. Her words were light as feathers. "To outwit you in all your tricks, a person or a god would need to be an expert at deceit. You clever rascal! So duplicitous, so talented at lying. You love fiction and tricks so deeply, you refuse to stop even in your own land. Yes, both of us are smart. No man can plan and talk like you, and I am known among the gods for insight and craftiness. You failed to recognize me. I am Athena, child of Zeus. I always stand near you and take care of you, in all your hardships. I made sure that you were welcomed by the Phaeacians. I have come here now to weave a plan with you and hide the treasure which, thanks to me, they gave you to take home. I will reveal the challenges you face at home. This is your fate, and you must bear it bravely, not telling any man or woman that you have finished wandering and come back. Suffer in silence. Bear their brutal treatment." Odysseus, still wary, answered, "Goddess, even the smartest man may find it hard to recognize you. You disguise yourself so many ways. I do know that you helped me during the Trojan War, so long ago, but when we Greeks had sacked the town of Priam, and we embarked, and gods dispersed our fleet, I did not see you there on board my ship, daughter of Zeus. You gave me no protection. Lost and confused, I waited for the gods to free me from my pain. I met you later, in rich Phaeacia, and you spoke to me comforting words and led me to the city. Please, by your father Zeus, I cannot think that this is Ithaca. I must be elsewhere. You want to fool me and make fun of me. Tell me the truth. Is this my own dear home? With glowing eyes, she said, You always have such keen intelligence, and that is why I cannot leave you when you need my help. You have such intuition and such focus. An ordinary man would rush straight home to see his wife and children when he reached his country after such a journey. You decided not to even ask about them until you test your wife. She sits at home, passing each night in misery, each day in tears. For my part, I have never doubted. I felt sure in my heart you would get home after the loss of all your men, but I did not want conflict with my father's brother, Poseidon, who resented you because you blinded his beloved son. Now I will show you Ithaca, so you believe. This is the bay of Phorcys, ancient sea god. And at the head there is an olive tree with long leaves, and nearby the shady caves sacred to nymphs called Nereids, to whom you sacrifice so many 100 cattle. And here is Neriton, the wooded mountain. With that, the goddess made the mist disperse. The land was visible. Odysseus, after so long a wait and so much pain, was filled with happiness at last. In joy he kissed the fertile earth of his own country, then lifted high his arms and prayed. O nymphs, I never thought I would come back to you, daughters of Zeus. Accept my loving prayers, and I will give you gifts, as in the past. If my commander, child of Zeus, is kind and lets me live and raise my son. Athena looked straight into his eyes and said, Be brave. You need not worry. Let us hurry now to hide the treasure safely in the cave, and then we must make plans. The goddess went down in the murky cave and looked around for hiding spots. Odysseus brought in the presents the Phaeacians gave him, gold and tireless bronze and finely woven cloth. Athena set them all inside and fixed the doorstone up, and then the two sat down against the sacred olive, and they planned how to destroy the suitors. Eyes aglow, Athena said, Great king, Laertes' son, master of plots and plans, Odysseus, think how to strike the suitors. For 3 years they have been lording in your house and courting your godlike wife with gifts. She always longs for your return and grieves. She leads them on with promises and messages to each, but her mind moves elsewhere. Odysseus cried, Oh, I would have died like Agamemnon in my own house, if you had not explained exactly how things stand. So, goddess, now weave me a strategy to pay them back. Stand by me. Give me courage and the drive to fight, as when I broke the shining crown of Troy. If you will join me with that zeal and help me, goddess queen, I could do battle against 300 men at once. Athena looked straight at him, clear-eyed. She said, I will be with you, truly. Know I stand beside you as we begin our work. I do believe the suitors who devour your livelihood will spatter your broad floors with blood and brains. But now I will disguise you, so no human can recognize you. I will shrivel up the fine skin of your supple arms and legs, ruin your hair, and dress you up in rags, so everyone will shudder, seeing you. And I will cloud your eyes to make you seem ugly to all the suitors, and your wife, and to the son you left at home. Now visit the swineherd who, though he is just a slave, adores your son and wise Penelope, and is your friend. Go look for him among the sows who root beside the Corax rock and near the spring of Arethusa, drinking black water, eating good nutritious acorns, which fatten pigs. Stay there and sit with him, and ask him everything, and I will go to Sparta, where the girls are beautiful, to fetch Telemachus, the boy you love. He went to Menelaus to find out if you are still alive. He asked her sharply, But why did you not tell him? You must know everything. Did you want him suffering like me, lost out at sea, while others eat his whole inheritance? With shining eyes, Athena answered, Come now, do not worry about the boy. I guided him myself so that he might win glory by his journey. He is not suffering. He is away, sitting and banqueting with Menelaus. The suitors do indeed desire to kill him and wait in ambush for him in their ship, but they will not succeed, I think. The earth will cover one or more of those who eat your property. Then with her wand, Athena tapped him. His handsome body withered up. His limbs became arthritic. She bleached out his hair and made his skin look old and wrinkled, and dimmed his fine, bright eyes. She turned his clothes into a tattered cloak and ragged tunic, dirty with soot. She wrapped around his shoulders a massive leather deerskin, and she gave him a threadbare tote bag and a walking stick. Their plans were set. They parted. She went off to Sparta to go fetch Telemachus. Book 14. A Loyal Slave. Leaving the bay, he hiked the rugged path through woodland and across the cliffs. Athena had shown him where to go to find the swineherd. Of all those in Odysseus's household, this noble slave cared most about preserving the master's property. Odysseus found him as he was sitting out on his porch. His yard was high and visible for miles, of fieldstones topped with twigs of thorny pear. He built it in the absence of his master, with no help from Laertes or the mistress. Around the yard, he set a ring of stakes, of wood with bark stripped off. Inside the yard, he made 12 sties all next to one another, for breeding sows, with 50 in each one. The boars slept outside. There were fewer of them, because the suitors kept on eating them. The swineherd let them have the fattest boars. Just 360 still remained. Their captain kept 4 fierce half-wild dogs to guard the gate. Now he was cutting oxhide to make himself some sandals. Of his men, 3 herded up the pigs, and ran around in all directions. He had sent the 4th to town to take a pig to those proud suitors. He had no choice. He had to satisfy their cravings for fresh meat. Then suddenly the guard dogs saw Odysseus, and rushed towards him with loud barks. He kept his head, and sank down to the ground and dropped his stick. They would have hurt him terribly, and shamed him on his own property. But acting fast, the swineherd dropped his leatherwork and rushed to chase the dogs away. He yelled at them and pelted them with stones to make them scatter. And then he told his master,
"My dogs almost ripped you apart, old man. You would have brought me shame when the gods are hurting me already. I am in mourning for an absent master, raising his pigs for other men to eat. My lord is lost and maybe even hungry, in lands where the people speak in foreign tongues, if he is even still alive, still seeing the sunlight. Well now, follow me, old man. Fill up on food and wine, then tell me where you come from and the troubles you have borne."
The noble swineherd heaped up cushy brushwood, and spread a furry goatskin over it, his own bed blanket, thick and warm. Odysseus sat down and was delighted at this welcome. He said,
"May Zeus and all the deathless gods reward you with your heart's desire, because you welcomed me so willingly."
And you, Eumaeus, answered,
"One must honor guests and foreigners and strangers, even those much poorer than oneself. Zeus watches over beggars and guests and strangers. What I have to give is small, but I will give it gladly. Life is like this for slaves. We live in fear when younger men have power over us. My real lord is kept from home by gods. He would have taken care of me, and given what kindly owners give to loyal slaves, a house with land, and wife whom many men would want, as recompense for years of labor which gods have blessed and made to prosper. Master would have been good to me, if he had stayed here till old age. He must be dead by now. Damn Helen and her family. So many have died for her sake. Master went to Troy to win back Agamemnon's honor, fighting the Trojans."
Then he belted up his tunic and hurried to the pen, and chose 2 piglets. Inside he butchered them, singed off the bristles, chopped up the meat, and roasted it on skewers. He set it, piping hot, before his guest, sprinkling barley on the top. He mixed wine in an ivy bowl, as sweet as honey, and then sat down across from him, and urged, "Now, guest, eat up. This is a poor slave's meal, a suckling pig. The suitors eat the hogs. Their hearts have no compassion. They ignore the gods, who watch and hate such crimes and bless good deeds and justice. Even cutthroat pirates, who go to plunder other people's lands, seizing the spoils that Zeus has granted them, and sail home in a ship filled full of treasure. Even they feel the watchful eyes of gods. These suitors must have heard some god's voice saying, 'Odysseus has died,' so they refuse to go back to their own homes or to arrange suitable marriages. Instead, they sit, wasting his wealth on feasts. Each night and day they butcher sheep, not one, but dozens of them, and pour out yet more wine for reckless drinking. Those selfish oafs!
My lord was very rich. No others on the mainland or back here in Ithaca, nor 20 all combined, possessed as much. I will list all of it. 12 herds of cattle on the mainland, 12 of sheep, and 12 of pigs, and 12 of goats. He had to hire more laborers to help us. And out here on the far end of the island, 11 herds of goats are grazing, watched by good men. Every day, a herdsman takes whichever goat seems fattest and most healthy up to the palace. I, who watch these pigs, must choose the best for them.
Odysseus gratefully wolfed the meat and drank the wine in silence. He was hatching plots to ruin the suitors. After he had had enough to eat, he took the wine cup he had drunk from, filled it again, and gave it to Eumaeus, who took it gladly. Then Odysseus said,
"Friend, who bought you? This rich, noble man that you describe. Who is he? You say he died in the war for Agamemnon's honor. Perhaps I know him, since he must be famous. Zeus and the other gods will be aware if I have seen him and can bring you news. He traveled widely."
But the swineherd said,
"His wife and son will not trust travelers who claim to bring them news. Tramps always lie to get a meal. They have no cause to tell the truth. All those who pass through Ithaca go to my mistress spinning foolish tales. She welcomes them and questions them, while tears stream from her eyes, and rightly so. A wife should mourn for her dead husband. Sir, you also would weave tall tales if you got clothes for it. But in reality, my master's skin has been ripped off his bones by birds of prey and dogs. His life is gone. Or he has been eaten at sea by fish. His bones are lying upon the beach, heaped high with sand. His death is ruin for us all, especially me, since I will never have so kind a master, however far I go, not even if I go back to the home of my own parents who gave me birth and brought me up. I wish that I could see them in my native land. But I grieve less for my own family than for Odysseus. I miss him so. I hesitate to call him by his name, stranger. I would prefer to call him brother, even when he is far away, because he loved and cared for me with so much kindness."
Odysseus was self-restrained. He said,
"My friend, you are so adamant, insisting that he will not come back. You have no faith. But this is no tall tale. I swear to you Odysseus is on his way. And when he is in his own house, then I will claim my prize as messenger, some better clothes. Till then I will take nothing, though I need them. I hate like Hades' gates the man who caves to poverty and starts to lie. I swear by Zeus, and by the welcome that you gave me, and by the hearth of great Odysseus where I am going. All this will turn out as I say now. Odysseus will come within this very cycle of the moon, between the waning and the waxing time. He will come home and pay back all those here who disrespect his wife and noble son."
"You answered him, swineherd Eumaeus."
"Sir, I will not give you this reward, since he will not come home. Relax and drink. Let us think about other things. Do not remind me. My heart is troubled when a person mentions my faithful master. Never mind your oath. I hope he comes, as do Penelope and old Laertes and Telemachus. May it come true, but I cannot forget my grief for that poor boy, my master's son. Thanks to the gods, he grew up like a tree, handsome and strong, as if to match his father when he became a man. But somebody or some god ruined his good sense. He went to Pylos, seeking news about his father. The suitors lie in wait for when he comes back home, and soon Arcesius's line will be wiped out on Ithaca. No more. They may catch him, or he may get away, kept safe by Zeus. Now, tell me, sir, the truth about your own adventures. Where are you from? Where do your parents live? Where is your town? On what boat did you sail here? How did sailors bring you to Ithaca? And who were they? I know you did not reach this land by foot." "I will tell you the truth, the whole truth. How I wish we two could sit at ease here in this cottage, and we had food and sweet strong wine to last as long as we desired, while all the work was done by others. Even if I talked a whole year, I would not complete the story of everything the gods have made me suffer. Proudly, I say, I come from spacious Crete, the son of wealthy Castor Halacides, whose sons by his main wife were numerous, raised in his house. My mother was a slave, bought as a concubine, and yet my father respected me like all his other sons. The Cretan people held him in high honor as if he were a god, since he was rich and had such noble sons. But fate arrived to take him down to Hades. Then my brothers selfishly seized his property and gave only a tiny part to me, with barely a place to live. But I was not a weakling or cowardly in fighting. My great skill and talent helped me win a wife who had a decent dowry. All lost now. But you can see in stubble how the grain once grew, though I am crushed by grief. I have the gift of courage from Athena and from Ares. Whenever I chose warriors to ambush our enemies, I never thought of death. I leapt out far in front and ran to catch them and spear them. That was how I was in war. I did not like farm work or housekeeping or raising children. I liked sailing better, and war with spears and arrows, deadly weapons. Others may shudder at such things, but gods made my heart love them. People's preferences are different. Before the Greeks went off to march on Troy, I led my troops and fleet on 9 forays, with great success. I had my pick of all the spoils, and got much more when we shared out the winnings. Soon my house grew rich. I was a fine, important man among the Cretans. But far-seeing Zeus arranged that expedition of disaster, which made so many men collapse and fall. The people wanted me to sail to Troy with Idomeneus. We had no choice. Their will was strong, constraining us. We Greeks fought for 9 years, and in the 10th we sacked the town of Priam and sailed home. Some god scattered the Greeks, and I was cursed by Zeus. I stayed for just 1 month at home, enjoying my children and my wife and my possessions. Some impulse made me want to sail to Egypt, with 9 ships and a godlike crew. I rushed to get the fleet prepared and gather up the men. I paid for many animals to kill as sacrifices for the gods, and for the men to cook and eat. We feasted 6 days. Then on the 7th we embarked and sailed from Crete. A fair north wind was blowing so we could drift on easily, like floating downstream. No one got sick, and all our ships came through undamaged. We sat tight and let the wind and pilot guide us overseas. In 5 days we had reached the river valley of Egypt. My fleet docked inside the Nile. I told the loyal men to wait and guard the ships while I sent scouts to check around from points of higher ground. But they indulged their own aggressive impulses and started willfully doing damage to the fields of Egypt and enslaved the little children and women, and they killed the men. The news soon reached the city. People heard the screaming. And right away at dawn, they all arrived. The plain was filled with warriors on foot, and chariots in gleaming bronze. And Zeus, the Lord of Lightning, caused my men to panic. They dared not keep on fighting. Danger lurked on every side. Then many of my men were killed with sharp bronze spears. The rest were taken as slaves to work for them. I wish I too had died in Egypt. But more pain remained. Zeus put another plan into my mind. I took my helmet off my head and dropped my shield and sword, and unarmed I approached the king. Beside his chariot I grasped his knees and kissed them. He was merciful. He kept me safe, and took me home with him, riding his chariot. My eyes were wet. Many Egyptians were enraged with me, and tried to kill me with their spears. The king protected me. He feared the wrath of Zeus, the god of strangers, who hates wickedness. I stayed there 7 years, and gained great wealth. All the Egyptian people gave me gifts. But in the 8th, an avaricious man came from Phoenicia. He was good at lying, skilled and well-practiced at exploiting people. He tricked me into going off with him back to Phoenicia, where he lived. I stayed a year, but when the hours and days and months had rolled around again, he made me sail over the seas to Libya, pretending that I would go with him to do some trading. His true plan was to sell me for a profit. I had suspicions, but I climbed on board. The ship sailed out with fair north wind behind her, from Crete out into the open sea. But Zeus planned to destroy the crew. On leaving Crete, no other land was visible, but only the sea and sky. Zeus set a dark blue cloud across our ship that cast a shadow over the sea. He thundered, and then hurled a bolt of lightning at the ship. The impact whirled the ship right round and filled her up with sulfur. The men fell overboard, and all were swept away by waves, like cormorants beside the dark ship, and gods took away their chance of getting home. But in my desperation, Zeus rescued me. He put the sturdy mast into my hands. I clung to it and drifted,
propelled by storm winds for 9 days, and on the 10th black night, the rolling waters swept me towards Thesprotia. There the king, named Phaedon, helped me without expecting recompense, because his son had found me all worn out, chilled by the morning air. He took my hand, raised me, and led me to his father's house, and dressed me. That was where I heard about Odysseus. The king said he had been a guest there on his journey home. The king showed me the treasure that Odysseus had gathered, gold and bronze and hard-worked iron. The royal stores contained enough to feed his family for 10 more generations. Odysseus, the king said, had gone off to Dodona to ask the holy oak what Zeus intended. He had been too long away from fertile Ithaca. He wondered how best to get back home, in some disguise or openly. The king then swore to me, pouring libations, that he had a boat prepared and crew picked out to take him back to his dear homeland. But he sent me first. It happened some Thesprotians were already sailing towards grain-rich Dulichium. The king told them to treat me well and take me to King Acastus, but their hearts preferred to bring me once again to misery. After the ship was out upon the sea, they plotted to enslave me. They stripped off my cloak and tunic, and tossed me these rags in which you see me now. And when night fell, they came to Ithaca's bright fields, and tied me tightly with rope and left me on the ship, and quickly went ashore to get some dinner. The gods themselves unloosed my bonds. They slipped easily off. I pulled my ragged clothes over my head, slid down the smooth ship's plank, and plunged chest forward in the sea. I swam fast with both arms, and quickly got away. I came ashore beside a flowering thicket, and huddled there in fear. They stomped around, shouting, but in a while they gave up looking, and got back on their ship. The gods themselves hid me with ease, and brought me to this cottage, a wise man's home, because it is my fate to stay alive. Eumaeus, you replied,
Poor guest, your tale of woe is very moving, but pointless. I will not believe a word about Odysseus. Why did you stoop to tell those silly lies? I know about my master's homecoming. The gods detest him. They loathe him, since they did not let him die at Troy or in his friends' arms, when the war was winding up, so that the Greeks could build him a mound to glorify him and his son in times to come. The robber winds have snatched him. He has no glory now. I am a loner. I live here with the pigs, and do not go to town, except when wise Penelope calls me to share some news. The people cluster around her, asking questions, some in sorrow about their absent master, others glad to eat at his expense. I ask no questions, since an Aetolian fooled me with his lies. He came to my house, saying he had killed a man in distant parts and run away. I welcomed him. He said that he had seen Odysseus with Idomeneus in Crete, repairing ships that storms had wrecked. He promised that my lord would come in summer or harvest time, made rich by heaps of treasure, his crew complete. A god has brought you here, but do not try to trick me or make nice with lies. I will be kind to you, old man, not for your stories, but in fear of Zeus, the god of strangers, and because I feel pity for you. But sly Odysseus answered, You are too skeptical. Despite my oath, I see you will not trust me. May the gods of Mount Olympus be our witness that if your master ever comes back home to this house, you will give me clothes to wear and help me to Dulichium. I want to go there. But if he does not arrive, and I am wrong, your slaves can drive me over the cliff tops, so no other beggar tries to trick you. But the upright swineherd answered, Yes, guest, I would be praised enormously among all men, now and in times to come, if I took you inside and welcomed you, then murdered you. And doing this, with what clean conscience could I pray to Zeus? In any case, now it is dinner time. My men should come inside, so we can cook delicious food. That was their conversation. In came the herdsmen, and they drove the pigs into their usual pens to rest. There rose a mighty din of grunting pigs. The noble swineherd addressed his men. Bring out the best pig for our guest, who comes from distant lands, and let us all enjoy ourselves. We suffer in bitter toil for these white-tusked pigs, while others eat the food we labor for and give us nothing. With a keen bronze axe, he chopped the wood. They brought a fattened pig of 5 years old and put it on the altar. The swineherd's heart was good.
he kept in mind the gods. He shaved the bristles off its head and threw them in the fire, and prayed to all the gods that through his ingenuity his master would come home. He stretched up tall and used a piece of oaken firewood to strike. The life departed, and they slit the throat and singed the hide, and chopped it up. The swineherd made an offering of meat, laid fresh across fine rich fat, and put it upon the fire with barley grain on top, and sliced the rest, and put it all on skewers, and roasted it with care, then drew the meat off and heaped it high on platters. Next he stood and served it out in 7 equal parts, the first with prayers, for Hermes and the nymphs, then he served the others to the men. He gave Odysseus the piece of honor, cut from the spine. His master was delighted, and said,
Eumaeus, may Zeus bless and love you as I do, since you give me such good things.
You answered him, swineherd Eumaeus,
Eat, dear guest. Enjoy it, simple though it is. Gods give, gods take away, as is their will. To gods all things are possible.
With that, he made the sacrifices to the gods, poured a libation from the bright red wine, then gave Odysseus, the city sacker, the cup. At last the swineherd sat to eat. Mesaulius served the food. That was the slave bought by Eumaeus in his master's absence. With no help from his mistress or Laertes, he traded him from Taphians. They all reached out to take the good things set before them. When they had had enough of food and drink, Mesaulius cleared things away. The men were full of bread and meat, and wanting sleep. Night fell, a moonless, bitter night. Zeus rained continually. Wet Zephyr blew his hardest. Odysseus, to test out if Eumaeus was kind enough to take his own cloak off, or tell another man to do it, said,
Eumaeus and you others, all of you, I want to brag a little. I am dizzy, under the influence of wine, which makes even the wisest people sing and giggle, and dance, and say things best not spoken. Since I have begun this blabbering, here goes. I will be honest. I wish I was young and strong again, as when we planned an ambush under the walls of Troy. The leading men were Menelaus and Odysseus, and I was chosen as the 3rd commander. When we had reached the city wall, we lay in bushes, reeds, and marshes, hiding under our shields. Night fell, harsh and icy cold, with north wind and a sleet-like snow, so cold the ice grew on our weapons. All the others had cloaks. They slept in comfort, tucked beneath their shields. But I had foolishly forgotten my cloak and left it, not expecting cold. I carried just my shield and shining belt. In the last part of night, as stars were setting, I went near to Odysseus and nudged him. He listened to me carefully. I said, Your Majesty, Odysseus, great general, I am about to die from this cold weather. I have no cloak. Some spirit tricked me into wearing my tunic only. Now there is no way to fix it. Instantly he thought of this solution. What a strategist and fighter! Very quietly he whispered, Hush now, do not let any of the others hear you. He propped his head up on his elbow and told them, Listen, friends, I had a dream sent by the gods. We moved too far away from where the ships are. Someone needs to speak to Agamemnon, shepherd of the people, and tell him to send more troops here. At that, Thoas, the son of Andrymon, leapt up, took off his purple cloak, and sprinted down towards the ships. I snuggled down in comfort under his cloak till golden dawn shone bright. If only I was young and strong again, then one of these pig keepers on this farm would give a cloak to me, both from respect and friendship. As it is, they all despise me for wearing dirty rags.
Eumaeus, you replied,
That was a splendid tale, old man. It worked. You will get all the clothes and things a poor old beggar needs, at least for now. But in the morning, you will have to put your old rags on again. We only have one outfit each, no spares. My master's son will give you clothes when he arrives, and help you to travel on wherever you desire.
With that, he stood and set a bed for him beside the fire, and threw on it some skins of sheep and goats. Odysseus lay down. Eumaeus tucked him in a big, thick cloak, his extra one, for really bitter weather. Odysseus went to sleep. The young men slept beside him, but the swineherd did not like to sleep so distant from the pigs. He started to leave. Odysseus was glad the slave took good care of his absent master's things. Eumaeus slung his sharp sword belt across his well-toned back, and wrapped around himself his windproof cloak and fine big furry goat skin. He took a sharpened knife to ward away humans or dogs, and he went off to sleep out where the pigs with silver tusks were sleeping. A hanging rock protected them from wind. Book 15. The Prince Returns. Athena went to Sparta to ensure the safe return of Prince Telemachus. She found him with Pisistratus, both lying on Menelaus's porch, and Nestor's son was fast asleep, but no sweet slumber held Telemachus. His worries for his father kept him awake all through God-given night. Owl-eyed Athena stood by him and said, "Telemachus, you should no longer travel so far from home, abandoning your wealth with greedy men at home. You must watch out. They may divide and eat up all your wealth and make your journey useless. Quickly ask for help from Menelaus to get home, so you may find your mother safe and blameless. Her father and her brothers are already telling her she should wed Eurymachus. He is the one most generous with gifts to her and to her father. Do not let her take any items from the house without your full consent. You know how women are. They want to help the house of any man they marry. When one darling husband dies, his wife forgets him, and her children by him. She does not even ask how they are doing. Let your best slave girl watch your property, until the gods give you your own wife. Also, I have more news. Take note. There is a gang of suitors lurking in the stream between your Ithaca and rocky Same, who have plans to kill you on your journey home. But I suspect that some of those who waste your wealth will soon be lying under earth. Now steer your ship far distant from the islands, and sail both day and night. Some god who guards and watches over you will send fair wind behind your sails. When you first reach the shore of Ithaca, your men must drag the ship up to the town, while you first go and visit the swineherd, who is better than most slaves. Spend the night there. Tell him to go to town and tell Penelope that you have come safely back home from Pylos." With these words, the goddess went back up to Mount Olympus. He woke the son of Nestor with a kick, and said to him, "Pisistratus, go fetch the horses, get them harnessed to the carriage, and let us hurry on our way." He answered, "Telemachus, this is impossible, for us to drive when it is pitch-black night, however eager we may be to travel. Dawn will come soon. Wait till great Menelaus comes out to bring us presents in his carriage, and sends us on our way with friendly words. A generous host is sure to be remembered as long as his guests live." Then all at once dawn on her golden throne lit up the sky. King Menelaus got up from the bed he shared with fair-haired Helen and approached them. Seeing him on his way, Telemachus put on his bright white tunic and then slung his mighty sword across his sturdy shoulders. So, in a warlike guise, the well-loved son of godlike King Odysseus stood near and spoke to Menelaus. "Royal son of Atreus, now, please, send me home now, to my beloved country. My heart yearns to go back home." And Menelaus answered, "Telemachus, I will not keep you here if you are truly desperate for home. I disapprove of too much friendliness and of too much standoffishness. A balance is best. To force a visitor to stay is just as bad as pushing him to go. Be kind to guests while they are visiting. Then help them on their way. So, friend, remain just till I fetch some splendid gifts to pile onto your carriage. Wait till you see them. I will instruct the women to prepare a banquet in the hall from our rich stores. Feasting before a long trip brings you honor. It also makes good sense. And if you want to have me travel with you all through Greece, I shall yoke up my horses and escort you through every town, and everywhere we go we will be given gifts. A fine bronze tripod, a cauldron, or 2 mules, or golden cups." Telemachus replied, "King Menelaus, I want to go home right away. I have no one back there to watch my property. I would not want to die while I am searching for father, or to lose my wealth at home." So General Menelaus shouted out to tell his wife and female slaves to make a feast from his rich stores. Eteoneus got out of bed and came. He lived nearby. The general boomed out orders. "Light the fire and roast the meat." The slave obeyed. Meanwhile, his master went inside the fragrant room containing treasures. Helen went with him, and Megapenthes. There he took a goblet, 2-handled, and he told his son to bring a silver bowl. And Helen stood beside the chests in which she kept the special clothes that she had worked with her own hands. She lifted the most elaborate and largest robe that shone like the starlight under all the rest. Then they went through the palace till they reached Telemachus, and fair-haired Menelaus said to him, "May great Zeus, the lord of thunder, Husband of Hera, make your wish come true. May you go back home safely. I will give you the best of all my treasure, as a mark of deep respect. A bowl of solid silver, circled with gold. Hephaestus fashioned it. The king of Sidon, Phaedimus, bestowed it on me when I was at his house, en route for home. Now take it. It is yours. He gave the goblet first, and Megapenthes brought the shining silver bowl and put it down in front of him. Then Helen's lovely cheeks flushed as she moved in close. She held the robe and said, "Sweet boy, I also have a gift, crafted by my own hands. Remember Helen when your own wedding day at last arrives, and let your bride wear this. Until that time, your mother should take care of it. I wish you great joy. I hope you reach your well-built home and fatherland." She handed it to him, and he took it gladly. Prince Pisistratus took all the gifts and packed them in the luggage, and marveled at them in his heart. The king led them inside. They sat on chairs. A slave girl brought out a beautiful gold water pitcher and silver bowl so she could wash their hands. She set a polished table at their side. Another lowly girl brought bread and food of every kind. Boethoides began to carve and serve the meat. The king's son poured the wine for everyone. They helped themselves to all the delicacies spread before them. When they were satisfied, Telemachus and Nestor's son strapped on the horse's harness, and yoked them to the chariot, and drove off from the echoing portico and gate. But Menelaus ran up just behind them, holding a golden cup of honeyed wine in his right hand, so they could pour libations before they left. He stopped in front of them, and spreading wide his arms, said, "Boys, good luck! Give Nestor my best wishes. He was always as kind as any father while we Greeks were making war in Troy." Telemachus said carefully, "Yes, king, when we go there we will pass on what you have said. I hope I may go back to Ithaca and meet Odysseus. Good luck to match my fortune in all your generosity and kindness." Then on the right, an eagle flew. It held a big white goose clutched in its claws, a tame one, caught from the yard. The people, men and women, were running round and yelling after it. It darted on the right beside the boys, and flew before their horses. They were all delighted. Nestor's son was the first to speak. "My lord, King Menelaus, what do you think? Was this a sign sent by some god for us, or sent for you?" And Menelaus, favorite of Ares, wondered how he ought to answer. But Helen cut in first and said, "Now listen, and I will make a prophecy. The gods have put it in my heart, and I believe it will come true. Just as the eagle flew down from the mountains, where he has his home with chicks and parents, seizing this tame goose, so will Odysseus, who has been gone so long and has endured so much, come back and take revenge. Indeed, he is already at home and planting ruin for the suitors." Telemachus replied, "May thundering Zeus fulfill your prophecy at once! If so, I would bow down to you as a goddess." He whipped the horses, and they galloped off through the town center to the open plain. All day the harness rattled as they ran, but when the sun went down and it grew dark, they came to Phyrae, home of Diocles, son of Ortilochus, who was the son of Alpheus. He welcomed them, and there they spent the night. When rosy-fingered dawn, the early-born, appeared, they yoked the horses, climbed in the chariot, and drove away from the resounding portico and gate. The horses flew with gusto at the whip. Soon they were near the rocky town of Pylos. Telemachus then asked Pisistratus, "Would you do me a favor? We are friends because our fathers have been friends forever, and we are age-mates, and this trip has made us even more intimate. Please do not bring me beyond my ship, but leave me here, in case the old man forces me to visit him and be his guest. I long to get back home. I have to go, and fast." The son of Nestor wondered how he should best respond. He thought upon reflection he should turn the horses back to the ship and shore beside the sea. There he took out the splendid gifts and clothes and gold from Menelaus, and he packed them inside the stern, and told Telemachus, "I know him. He is stubborn. He will not let you go. He will come here to fetch you, and he surely will not leave without you. He will be in such a rage." With that, he spurred the horses. Long manes flowing, they galloped to the citadel of Pylos. Telemachus gave orders. "Make it all ship-shape, my friends, and get on board, so we can start our journey." Quickly they obeyed and sat along the benches. As he worked, with prayers and sacrifices to Athena, a foreigner approached him, who had killed a man in Argos and had run away. He was a prophet and descended from Melampus, who once lived in Pylos, land of sheep. Melampus had been rich and owned a palace, but he left his home, escaping from Neleus, a proud, important man, who seized all his great wealth while he was trapped and tortured in the house of Phylacus. Because a fury put inside his mind a dangerous obsession with the daughter of Neleus. He managed to escape, and drove the cattle, lowing loudly, off from Phylace to Pylos. He avenged the wrong that Neleus had done to him, and brought the woman to his brother's house as wife, then went to Argos, home of horses, since there it was his destiny to rule the multitude of Argives, and he had 2 strong sons, Mantius and Antiphates, who fathered the heroic Oiocles, whose son was Amphiaraus, the warlord, whom Zeus, who holds the Aegis, and Apollo adored wholeheartedly. But he did not live to old age, since he was killed at Thebes, because his wife took bribes. He had 2 sons, Amphilochus and Alcmaeon. The sons of Mantius were Cletus, snatched by Dawn to join the gods, because he was so handsome, and Polyphaetes, whom Apollo gave the best prophetic skill of any mortal, after Amphiaraus had died. This prophet grew angry with his father, and migrated to Hyperesia, and there he told fortunes for everyone. It was his son, named Theoclymenus, who had approached Telemachus while he was pouring wine and praying to the gods. The stranger said, "My friend, I find you making sacrifices. I beg you, by religion, by the gods, and by your life and your men's lives. Who are you? Who are your parents? What is your hometown?" Telemachus said, "Stranger, I will tell you. I come from Ithaca. My father is Odysseus. Well, he was. He must have died some dreadful death by now. It was for him I got this ship and crew. I sailed to seek news of my absent father." And the stranger replied, "I too am far from home. I killed a man of my own tribe, and I have many brothers and kinsmen, powerful in Argos, so I am on the run. They want to kill me. I have been doomed to homelessness. But please, let me on board your ship. I come to you in desperation. Otherwise I will surely be killed. Those men are after me." Telemachus said, "Yes, you can join us on board our ship, and what we have is yours. You are our guest." He took the stranger's spear, laid it on the deck, then climbed on board himself, sat at the stern, and had his guest sit down beside him at the stern. They loosed the ropes. Telemachus gave orders to the men to seize the tackle. Promptly they obeyed, and raised the wooden mast and fastened it into the socket, binding it with forestays, and hauled the white sail up with leather cables. Sharp-eyed Athena sent fair wind that gusted a wild, explosive breath through bright, clear sky. The ship began to race across the sea, past Crone and the lovely streams of Chalcis. The sun went down, and all the world was dark. Impelled by wind from Zeus, the ship sped on past Phaeia, and they came to famous Elis, ruled by the Epeans. From there they steered towards the Needle Islands, still unsure if they would die. Meanwhile, Odysseus was having dinner with the noble swineherd inside the cottage, and the other men were eating with them. After they were done, Odysseus began to test the swineherd, to see if he would be hospitable, and ask him to stay there, out on the farm, or send him into town. He said, "Eumaeus, listen, and listen all of you. At dawn I plan to go to town to beg. I have no wish to be a burden to you all. I only need directions and a guide who can go with me. I will roam around the city on my own, in search of drink and crusts of bread. So it must be. And if I reach the house of King Odysseus, I plan to tell Penelope my news, and mingle with the high and mighty suitors. They may give me some food from their rich stores. I could do anything they want at once. I have the capability, you see. Hermes the messenger, the god who gives favor and glorifies all human labor, has blessed me with unrivaled skill in all domestic tasks. Fire-laying, splitting logs, carving and roasting meat, and pouring wine. I can do all the chores poor people do to serve the rich." But angrily you said, Eumaeus, "No! Why would you think of this? You would be killed if you set foot among the horde of suitors. Their aggression reaches the iron sky, and those who wait on them are not like you. They are young men, well-dressed, with bright, clean hair and handsome faces, serving the bread and wine and meat,
piled high upon their polished tables. Stay here. No one minds your presence, not myself, nor my companions. And when Odysseus' son arrives, he will provide a proper cloak and tunic, and help you travel where your heart desires."
Odysseus, experienced in pain, answered,
"I hope Zeus loves you as I do, since you have saved me from the agonies of wandering. The worst thing humans suffer is homelessness. We must endure this life because of desperate hunger. We endure as migrants with no home. But since you now want me to stay and wait for your young master, tell me about Odysseus' parents. His father, when he left, was on the threshold of age. Are they alive still? Have they died?"
He answered,
"Stranger, I will tell you truly. Laertes is alive, but he is always praying to Zeus to let him pass away in his own home. He feels such desperate grief about his son and his beloved wife, whose death made him so heartbroken he aged before his time. She died a dreadful death, a death I would not wish for any friend, grieving her absent son, the famous hero. While she was still alive, despite her sadness, she used to like to talk and chat with me. She brought me up herself with her own daughter, strong, pretty Catimene, her youngest child. She raised us both together, treating me almost as equal, just a little less. And when we came of age, they sent the girl to Same for a hefty bridal price. The mother dressed me in fine clothes, a cloak and tunic, tying sandals on my feet, and sent me to the country. But she still loved me with all her heart. I miss them both. The blessed gods have made my work here prosper, so I have had enough to eat and drink and give to guests. But I hear no good news about my mistress. Ruin has befallen the house from those invaders. All her slaves miss talking to their owner, getting gossip, sharing some food and drink with her, and taking scraps to the fields with them, the kind of thing that makes slaves happy."
And Odysseus exclaimed,
"Eumaeus, what a little child you were when you were taken far from home and from your parents. Tell me more. Did they live in a city that was sacked? Or was it bandits that found you, herding sheep or cows alone? Did they seize hold of you and put you onto their ship and sell you for a profit in this man's house?"
The swineherd answered him,
"Since you have asked this question, stranger, listen. Enjoy my story, sitting quietly, drinking your wine. These nights are magical, with time enough to sleep and to enjoy hearing a tale. You need not sleep too early. It is unhealthy. Any other man who feels the need of sleep should go lie down, get up at dawn, have breakfast, and go herd the master's pigs. But let us, you and I, sit in my cottage over food and wine, and take some joy in hearing how much pain we each have suffered. After many years of agony and absence from one's home, a person can begin enjoying grief. I will tell you my story as you ask. There is an island, you may know it, called Syria, where the sun turns round, above Ortygia. It has few inhabitants, but it is good land, rich in sheep and wine and grain. No famine ever hurts those there, nor any deadly sickness. They grow old, and with their gentle arrows, Artemis and silver-bowed Apollo cause their death. The land is split into two provinces. My father, Ctesias, was king of both. Then avaricious merchants came, Phoenicians, skilled sailors, with great piles of treasure stored in their black ship. And in my father's house there was a woman from Phoenicia, tall and beautiful and skilled in many arts. Those clever rascals tricked her. One of them first found her washing clothes beside the ship and lay with her. Sex sways all women's minds, even the best of them. And then he asked her where she was from and who she was. She showed him my father's palace, and she said, "I am from Sidon, rich in bronze. I am the daughter of wealthy Erebus. As I was walking back from the fields one day, some Taphian pirates kidnapped me, brought me here to this man's house, and sold me to him for a tidy sum." Her secret lovers said, "Then would you like to go back home with us, and see your parents in your fine home again? They are alive and quite rich now." The woman said, "Oh yes, I would, if all you sailors swear an oath to bring me safely home." At that, they swore as she had asked, and made their solemn vows. And then the woman said, "You must keep mum, and none of you can even speak to me if you bump into me beside the road or at the water fountain. Otherwise someone might tell the old man at the house. Then he would get suspicious, chain me up,
and plan to have you killed. Remember this, bear it in mind, and do your trading quickly, and when your ship is full of stores to take back home with you, send news to me, and fast. I will bring gold with me as well, whatever wealth I can find to hand. I also want to give another gift to pay my fare. I take care of my master's clever son, who always runs around outside with me. I will bring him on board, and he will fetch a pretty price from foreigners."
With that, she went back to the palace. For a year they stayed with us, accumulating wealth by trading, and they filled their ship's hold up. When it was time to go, they sent a man to tell the woman at my father's house. He was a very cunning man. He wore a golden necklace strung with amber beads. The slave girls in the palace and my mother stared and began to finger it and ask how much it cost. He nodded to the woman in silence, then went back to the ship. She took me by the hand and led me out into the forecourt, where she found some cups left on the tables by my father's men, who had been banqueting, and now had gone to council. They were having a debate. She took 3 cups and hid them in her dress, and carried them away with her. I followed, knowing no better. As the sun went down, we hurried through the dark streets to the harbor. There was the swift Phoenician ship. They all embarked, put us on board as well, and sailed over the watery waves. Zeus sent fair wind. For 7 days we sailed, and on the 8th, Artemis struck the woman with her arrows. She crashed into the ship's hold like a seagull. They threw her overboard to feed the fish and seals, and I was left there, broken-hearted. The current carried them to Ithaca, and then Laertes bought me with his wealth. That was the way my eyes first saw this land."
Odysseus replied,
"My heart is touched to hear the story of your sufferings, Eumaeus. In the end, though, Zeus has blessed you, since after going through all that, you came to live with someone kind, a man who gives you plenty to eat and drink. Your life is good. But as for me, I am still lost. I trekked through many towns before I wandered here."
So went their conversation. Then they slept for just a little while. Dawn soon arrived upon her throne. Meanwhile, Telemachus drew near the mainland. Lowering the sail nimbly, his men took down the mast and rowed to anchorage. They cast the mooring stones and tied the cables from the stern, then climbed out in the surf and waded into shore. There they made dinner, mixing bright red wine. When they had had enough to eat and drink, the boy said sensibly, "You all should drag the ship towards the town, while I go visit the herdsmen in the fields of my own estate. Then I will come to town at evening time. At dawn I will provide a feast for you of meat and wine." Then Theoclymenus asked him, "But where shall I go, my dear boy? To whose house? One of those who rule this land? Or should I go at once to your own mother in your house?" And Telemachus replied, "Well, ordinarily I would invite you. We are good hosts. But as it is, best not, for your own sake. I will not be at home, and mother will not see you. She is weaving upstairs upon her loom. She does not want the suitors seeing her. So I suggest you go to someone else's house, the son of skillful Polybus, Eurymachus. The Ithacans look at him as a god. He is the dominant suitor and the keenest on marrying my mother and acquiring the riches of Odysseus. Zeus knows the future, he alone. Eurymachus may die a dreadful death before that marriage." As he said this, a bird flew on his right, a hawk, Apollo's messenger. It clutched a pigeon in its talons, feathers scattered between the ship and young Telemachus. Then Theoclymenus called him aside and grasped him by the hand and said to him, "Telemachus, some god has sent this bird to fly on your right hand. I knew at once it was a sign. No family in all of Ithaca has greater power. You are the king's forever." He replied, "Oh, stranger, I hope your words come true. If so, I would give you so many gifts to show my friendship that everyone you met would be impressed." And then he told his faithful man, "Piraeus, you were most trustworthy of those who came with me to Pylos. Let this stranger come to your own house. Be kind to him, and give him a cordial welcome till I come." Piraeus answered, "However long you are away, I will take care of him." And then he climbed aboard and told the men to come as well, and loose the cables, which they did, and sat down on the benches. Then Telemachus tied on his sandals, and took from the deck his sharp bronze spear. The men untied the ropes and sailed towards the town, just as the son of great Odysseus had ordered them. The boy walked quickly till he reached the farmyard. Hundreds of pigs were there, and with them slept the swineherd, who knew how to help his masters.